Today we're going to calibrate this Foxboro DP transmitter, and all it does is it's basically a P to I transmitter. What that is it goes from pressure to current. So we're gonna hook up our pressure supply, and all it is we're coming out of it into a gauge, which is a H2O gauge, which is inches in H2O. We're gonna calibrate it for 50 to 150 inches of water, which is H2. It's not water column, it's just water. And so we're going to hook it up, and you go into the high side of the transmitter, and you see that the H that stands for high. We're going to vent the low. So after we get that hooked up, now we got to hook up the electrical side. And one thing that you want to add, just for protection of your devices, is this 250 ohm resistor. I already have it set, but in case you don't know, you want to reset it. I'll show you how. You turn your meter. This is a 179 true RMS multimeter. It's a Fluke. It's a pretty good meter. And you just want to hook in one side, the other side, and read your ohms. Okay, we'll say it's too low. You just turn the knob and get it up to 250 or around. It doesn't have to be specific. And then you unhook that. Now we're going to hook up the electrical side. This is a 24 volt DC input. So we come out of our power supply from our 24 volts. We'll run into our 250 ohm resistor. And then we will run in series of that to our DP cell, which is the red wire, and then out of that into our multimeter. And you want to set it up for current. It says 400 milliamps. You want milliamps down to your common. So we'll hook it up, turn the meter on. Right now it's an AC. You want to change it to DC. So have it hooked up. Okay, now we want to turn it up to our lower range value in our water column. You can see up here. If you accidentally go over, drop below, and then come back up, and you can see right here on this piece of paper, our lower range value is going to be 50 inches of H2O, and our upper range is going to be 150 inches of H2O. So now we turn our power on, and we come over here to our DP cell. And right now, we know that we want to calibrate it to read inches of H2O. So all you have to do is you press next, and you want to find configure. When you go to configure, press enter. There's two buttons, next and enter. You want to press next right now until you find M1 EGU. Press enter. No, M2.
Rearrange.
No, I missed it. M1 EGU, press enter. You want to press U, press enter. You want to change it to inches and H2O. It might take a minute to get to it. Inches, feet H2O, inches H2O. So press enter, we found it. Okay, now we want to go to rearrange. You can press enter. Okay, our upper range value is 150. That's right, because that's what our paper says. So we're going to press enter. 50. No, we need to go to 0. See? So press next to change the bit. We need to get this to 0. No, we don't.
That's upper range. You got lower range on.
Okay. Now we're to our lower range. You just press enter to get out of it. We're on the lower range. You press enter. Just keep pressing enter. And now you want to press enter till you find save. Okay, right now we have our gauge set to 50 inches of H2O. And as you can see, our multimeter is reading 3.9, but we want to have it a little bit better than that. So now you'll press next, and you see calibrate. You press enter. You want to go over and it says cal low range value. So you want to make sure that this is on 50 because that's your lower range value. We can press enter, and it'll say cal weight, and it'll kind of shape it up. If you can see both. Sometimes it takes a minute. Okay. Alright, now you can see it's a little better. It's 49.99. Over here it says 4. Okay, so now we want to do the same thing with our upper range. So it says cal upper range, press enter. But I'm going to go up. It's going to say bad band. And I messed it up on purpose, but it should work. Okay, let's press enter, find it again. Okay, cal lower range, cal upper range. Now we want to calibrate because we're at 250. We need it to say 20 milliamps. It's a little off there. Okay, now we're almost perfect with 20 milliamps. Okay, so now we want to do our 5-point test. And all we have to do is you press next, 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 and save. You always want to save when you get done. Okay, now here we are. We're at 150. Now we want to do our 5-point test, which is in our book here. And what it says is you have your 20%. Your 20% is at 70 inches of water column. So you want to adjust it for 70 inches of water column, and you want to drop below 90, 80, 60, 70. So now we're at 70. It says we should be reading 7.2 milliamps, and we're reading 7.3, 7.2. It's pretty close. So now we want to go on up to 90 inches of water column. Okay, now we're at 90, and we're reading 10.35, which is pretty close. It's 10.4 is what we need. Now we want to go to 110. Okay, and we're reading 13.6 exactly. So here we go, and then now we're going to go to 130. $16.75, round it up, it gives you 16.8. Now we're going to go all the way to 150 one more time, and it'll give you just a little bit more. Now we're at 20 milliamps, 149. It's all showing, so it's pretty good. And then you can go back down just to check yourself, but you always want to drop below. So here we are, we're at 16.75. At 110, you're at 13.5, which is pretty close. We're at 90. 10.4, pretty close. We're at 70. 7.2. And at 50. At 4 milliamps, and that's all.